Okay, we're back. And today I wanted to do a mini lecture on why our souls choose our families, specifically why we choose to be the black sheep of the family, and more specifically, why those of us who have intuitive abilities, energetic abilities, mediumship, channeling, connection with spirit, why we most often choose our families that do not hold those same beliefs, that may hold rigid religious beliefs, that may hold ideologies that say that there is nothing beyond the physical realm. Why do we, as souls, choose families that go against using our intuitive abilities? Why do we set up a challenge for ourselves to come in with energetic intuitive abilities and then come into families that deny it? It's all for a reason. So we have to start off with the knowing that we choose our families. We come into this lifetime choosing who our parents are, our siblings. We choose our early life circumstances. We choose how we look. We choose our bodies. Everything is created by design. We have soul contracts with our parents, with our family members closest to us. We're working out certain karmic cycles. We're changing dynamics. We're evolving and learning lessons by playing out different roles for each other. The key word is we're playing out different roles. So then the question is then, why did we choose to come in and play the role of the intuitive, the psychic, the medium, the channel, and come into a family where it was the opposite, where we are inherently the black sheep? We do this so that we can then be pushed and progressed to use our gifts. It's kind of like an oxymoron. It's like you incarnate into a family with challenges that are set up where they won't agree with you, they'll believe you, they'll indoctrinate you with beliefs that say that is not real, and you come in with the life mission of using those same beliefs, and you choose the family that creates the most difficulty to really slingshot you forward, to create that resistance and tension, to push you forward, to really use them, to step into your confidence, to step into using your abilities, your inner voice, speaking your truth. And you do that also because likely you have come in with wounding around sharing your intuition, your voice, your truth. You have likely come in from other timelines and lifetimes where you were also persecuted for having those abilities, where you were also shut down, where you may have been killed, where you may have been forced to go into hiding so that you wouldn't be chased out for having intuitive abilities. Think about the witch wound. All the intuitives, healers, medicine keepers, predominantly women who were chased, murdered, put on trial centuries ago, accused of black magic, of setting spells. Think about how everyone who was burned at the stake, everyone who was forced into hiding, who was afraid to use their abilities or did so in hiding, think about how that has been perpetuated up until today, how much of that wounding, that's part of your soul blueprint, so that you choose experiences today to work through that, so that you have chosen it almost like you're choosing it again, but to a lesser degree, where your life may not be at risk, but that you still feel like your life is at risk. I think that's a huge indicator of the witch wound, is that there is nothing at stake that is threatening your life, likely, but you feel as if it is so. You feel as if you are going to have your life ended. You feel as if you're going to be chased out of town. You feel like you're going to be burned at the stake, put on trial. It's like so many people in this lifetime who have intuitive gifts and abilities feel such a profound and immense feeling of fear around being seen for having those abilities, around being seen for who they really are, that they hide altogether. I experienced it. I'll get into my own experience later on in this video. But what I'm saying is that feeling of intense fear is not an accident. That is you experiencing the blueprint of other experiences of other lifetimes. And that reasoning for you having it now and being set up with the challenge of likely incarnating into a family that goes against all of your beliefs and your abilities is to finally clear that and work through it, is to finally move beyond the fear and step into the identity of, I don't need to fear this anymore. I don't need to hold myself back. I don't need to shrink myself. I don't need to change who I am. I am here to be fully and authentically myself, and I am here to show other people that they can do the same thing. So we have to see that our family, our parents, our siblings, they play a role for us. It's all scripted. We're playing a character. So we really have to get to the bottom of asking, why would I have chosen parents that play that character? Why am I here playing this role? What's the purpose of all this? And it always comes down to your evolution, your growth, clearing out old beliefs, clearing out old wounding, being pushed into your power so that you can really use your abilities. You can really be who you are. You can be fully expansive and use your gifts to help other people. That's likely largely in part of what you came here to do. That's a big part of your soul's mission. And it's beautiful because the wounding that we carry, the things that we're most afraid of, is always correlated directly to what we are meant to be doing. So that the most easy example is if you have an intense fear of being seen for who you really are, then that is part of your mission to be here, to be seen for who you really are, to let yourself be yourself and show others that it's possible to do the same thing, to prove to yourself that it is safe to be who you are and it's safe to be seen by a lot of people for being who you are. So you really have to see, what does the experience teach you of having a family where you're the black sheep? It teaches you confidence, inner strength, listening to one's own voice, overcoming self-doubt. Like really start to identify all of the challenges that were imposed upon you, that were chosen, and how they have affected you today, how it has pushed you into your power, how it has slingshotted you into your purpose. Because again, the fears that we come in with, they are meant to be cleared and they are tied to our purpose. So a lot of people ask, what is the witch wound? The witch wound is that intergenerational and also soul blueprinted wounding, that intense fear of being seen, of being criticized, of having backlash, of being persecuted for being who you really are, for being seen for who you really are, for having otherworldly abilities. The witch wound is so intense. It feels so big, even though this life circumstance might not be life-threatening. But it is here to be cleared. My own experience with the witch wound was so intense that it caused me to go back into the spiritual closet. So in my own soul's journey in this lifetime, I clearly chose to come out of the closet twice, and come out of two different closets, rather. I first came out of the gay closet when I was a teenager, and then 4 or 5 years later, I came out of the spiritual closet. And you know what's crazy is that coming out of the spiritual closet felt way scarier than coming out of the gay closet. Coming out of the spiritual closet actually felt like my life was at risk, which it was not, but it felt like it was. It felt like I was going to be rejected, abandoned, isolated, ridiculed, shunned, made fun of, cast away out of this town. Like, I was so afraid that if people saw me for me, mostly my friends, that I would lose all my friends, that I would be completely isolated and alone, and I would be like the laughing stock of the entire town. And what's so ironic is when I did come out of the spiritual closet the first time, or again the second time, no one judged me. Everyone supported me. And the friends that I did lose, I didn't lose because of that. I lost them for other reasons, which showed me that they weren't even real friends. The ones that I was so worried about judging me or losing them, they weren't even my real friends. So I'm saying to you, as someone who has already come out of the spiritual closet, as someone who has already gone through this, it really does come down to a choice of, am I going to keep reenacting this pattern? Am I going to continue to listen to this fear that says it's not safe, you're not going to be accepted? Am I going to live by that story, that false story? Or am I going to choose myself? Am I going to choose my purpose as to why I'm here? Am I going to choose myself in the sense that says, I am valid in who I am, I honor and love myself, I respect myself, and that has nothing to do with how other people see me or treat me. It has everything to do with them and their beliefs, their conditioning. They are playing a role for me as I am playing a role for them, and I do not have to partake in that circus. That again, my self-love, my self-worth, my self-respect comes from my own inner compass of who I am and why I'm here. And you can say to yourself, I am seeing that my purpose is to move beyond this wounding and to fully step into the spotlight of who I am. It's no longer serving me to hide or shrink myself. I acknowledge that these wounds have come from possibly experiences in this lifetime and very likely experiences of other lifetimes. And it is now culminating here for me to step into my power, to step into my purpose. This is a part of my soul's mission. It is why I am here. And if I don't answer the call, if I don't choose myself, then I'm going to continue to have experiences where I am perpetuating that feeling of fear. I'm going to keep having to repeat grade 1 or grade 2. I'm going to have the same experiences over and over again. And if I don't get it in this lifetime, then I'm going to have to do it again in another lifetime. So it really does just come down to, do I want to listen to the opinions and judgments of other people and let that be my compass, abide by that rule book of how I should behave? And then one day get to the end of my life and realize that I only lived it out of fear of what other people would think of me. And then realizing that all those people are dead anyway. And now I'm at the end of my life where I've essentially missed the opportunity. Or, because that sounds massively depressing, do I want to choose now a different option of choosing myself, choosing opportunity to fully lean into who I really am, to allow others to perceive me as who I am, and let their perceptions and judgments be whatever it is, because it's all, again, based on their internal world. But that in this moment, I choose myself. I choose my passion. I choose my purpose. I choose to speak up. I choose to be expansive. I choose to no longer shrink myself. I choose to no longer hide myself. I choose to speak truth. I choose to use my real voice. I choose to trust my intuitive abilities, because here's another kicker, is that the people who have the hardest time trusting their intuitive abilities, who have the hardest time trusting if what they're getting is real, be it messages from spirit, their intuition, mediumship, channeling, the people who have the hardest time with that are the ones that have to use it the most. They are the ones that came into these families, that they were indoctrinated with beliefs that said that that's not real, that's hearsay, that's witchcraft. And they are the ones that now struggle to fully trust themselves. So the ones that are here struggling to really listen to themselves are the ones that have to double down on acknowledging that it is real, that they are correct, that their intuition is valid, that what they are receiving from spirit is real. And they have to start to identify the beliefs, the voices in their head that are not them, that play as a tape recorder of all the people in their life from before and perhaps other lifetimes that say it's not real. They need to disidentify with those thoughts and those voices that say that it's not real, that say that it's not safe, that say that they're going to be ridiculed and criticized, that say that they need to hide, that they need to shrink themselves. Disidentify with all of those beliefs and to firmly say, I know who I am. I believe this. I believe that I have the abilities to discern what is real and what is not, to receive truth via energetics, via emotion, to use my body as the antenna, and to start to enact that version of themselves, to start to shift onto the timeline where they trust themselves, they trust their abilities. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and overnight, but it really is a shift, like I said before, of choosing yourself, of saying, I don't like this narrative anymore of hiding myself, of being in disbelief, of being pessimistic. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't come from me. It didn't start with me. But clearly, if I chose these circumstances with my family, within my life, within having a hard time trusting my intuitive abilities, if the desire has been placed on my heart, then clearly all of this has been here for a reason. My abilities and everything that has stopped me from using it. It has all been by divine design. So if you sum that all up, then you have to say, then I choose myself. I choose to trust it. I choose to create a different narrative in my life. I choose to honor what I am receiving. I choose to pursue it. I choose to practice it and get better at it, because clearly it is a part of why I am here. It is what I chose. I honor, love, I forgive my family. This is what you say. I forgive myself for shrinking down and hiding parts of myself when I didn't know any better. I forgive myself for perpetuating patterns that were taught by other people. I forgive myself for perpetuating patterns that I have taken on from other lifetimes where I was persecuted, where I had to hide for my physical safety. But I tell myself today in the here and now that it's safe, that there is nothing stopping me except for myself. Nothing stopping me except for myself. The perceptions of other people do not affect me. I am my own compass. I am the creator of my own life. I get to decide what I deem as true for me, and I will then move forward in my life knowing that, creating new decisions for myself. That really is as simple as it is. You choose your family. We create contracts to play roles for each other. If you create extra challenges in your life, if your life is on hard mode around being afraid of being seen for who you really are, using your intuitive abilities, shrinking yourself down, then that is directly tied to your purpose of doing the opposite of expanding yourself, of being seen for who you really are, of using your intuitive, energetic, psychic gifts, of pushing past the self-doubt and creating a version of you that no longer carries and reenacts that wounding, to become more confident in your abilities, to have the audacity to be who you are and to use your abilities, to trust what you're getting. See, it's all part of the divine design. And to say, I love what I chose. I see how it has helped me. I release the wounding. I release the heaviness. And now I just carry this appreciation that where I came from in this lifetime, it was a setup. It was a setup to get me to where I am today. The person I am today is because of these challenges that I chose to overcome to slingshot me into the purpose that I am now ready to live. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this message, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't already. I'd love to know what you thought of it in the comments. And as always, I run bi-monthly live channeling groups. I channel Raphael and the Divine. I do them over Zoom. It's donation-based. And I would love to have you join. The details are going to be in the show notes. You just have to register with your email and you'll get all the information. My next one is on June 20th, if this video goes out before June 20th. If not, there'll be another one end of June or early July. I always put out announcements over email, so that's why I have you put in your information so you can be in the know about when the next group is. So thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye.